You ever have one of those days where your brain feels like 47 browser tabs are open and one of them is playing music, but you can't figure out which one? Yeah. Welcome to the modern mind. We're multitasking, doom-scrolling, stressing over everything from group chats to global crises, and somehow we're supposed to function like it's all totally normal. But here's the thing, your brain, it wasn't designed for this. And neither was your mental health. So today we're diving into something that is designed to help. Mindfulness. Not as a buzzword, not as some overpriced candlelit self-care trend, but as a science-backed, pharmacist-approved, brain-balancing tool that can actually change how you feel, how you think, and how you show up in your life. Let's talk about your brain, not in the "you need to study more" way, more like your brain is doing cartwheels on a daily basis and never really gets to sit down and breathe. Because for a lot of us, the pace of modern life is like trying to drink from a fire hose. Deadlines, distractions, social media, work stress, family responsibilities, existential dread. And somewhere in between, we're expected to stay sane, focused, and happy. Easy, right? Enter mindfulness. It's one of those words that's been floating around for a while now, like kale, intermittent fasting, or gut health. You see it on wellness blogs, meditation apps, and those calming TikToks with ambient forest sounds. But what actually is mindfulness? Is it just fancy breathing? Is there any science behind it? Or is it one of those woo-woo wellness trends that sounds spiritual but lacks substance? Today, we're pulling back the curtain on mindfulness, what it is, what it's not, and how it affects your mental health in very real, very measurable ways. Because while mindfulness feels like a soft skill, the science backing it up is anything but fluffy. Let's start with a definition that doesn't sound like a yoga instructor whispering over a sound bath. Mindfulness, in its simplest form, is the practice of paying attention, on purpose, in the present moment, without judgment. That's it. It's about tuning into what's happening right now, your thoughts, your feelings, your physical sensations, without trying to fix them, fight them, or label them as bad. Just notice, observe, be there. And while that may sound like the easiest thing in the world, let me assure you, it's not. Especially in pharmacy school. Speaking from personal experience here, as a pharmacy student, mindfulness is something I've had to learn the hard way. You come into school excited, maybe even a little overconfident, and then suddenly, bam, you're hit with a tsunami of lectures, assignments, exams, clinical work, and the emotional weight of being trained to care for other people's lives. I used to think I could power through it all by sheer force of will. Spoiler, that doesn't work for long. It took a while, but I eventually realized that I couldn't keep running on sheer will, stress, and the occasional nap. I had to find a balance, not just to function, but to stay mentally well. I started taking breaks. I learned that walking away from the books for 20 minutes to breathe or stretch wasn't slacking off, it was recharging. I started paying attention to when I was spiraling into overthinking or self-doubt, and tried slowly to meet that voice in my head with a little curiosity instead of criticism. And what I found, mindfulness isn't just helpful, it's essential. Let's break down the science. What actually happens in your brain when you practice mindfulness? First, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for attention, planning, and self-regulation, starts to light up more consistently. This is the executive part of your brain, and mindfulness is like strength training for it. MRI studies have shown that people who engage in regular mindfulness practices, even just 10 to 20 minutes a day, show increased gray matter density in this area. Translation: better focus, better emotional regulation, and improved decision-making. Then there's the amygdala, the part of your brain involved in the fear response. That lovely little almond-shaped nugget that lights up like a Christmas tree during stress, anxiety, or panic. Mindfulness has been shown to decrease the activity and even the size of the amygdala over time. That means a calmer, less reactive brain, one that can pause before spiraling into fight or flight mode when your email says urgent in all caps. There's also growing research into mindfulness and its impact on the default mode network, the brain's autopilot system responsible for mind-wandering, rumination, and that endless inner monologue that sounds like a radio DJ stuck in a feedback loop. When you practice mindfulness, you interrupt that pattern. You train your brain to come back to the present instead of spiraling into what-ifs and should-haves. But here's the best part. Mindfulness isn't just good for your brain, it's good for your mental health. Studies have shown that mindfulness-based interventions can significantly reduce symptoms of anxiety, depression, PTSD, and even chronic pain. In fact, mindfulness is now used as a cornerstone in many evidence-based therapies, like mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, MBCT, and acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT. This isn't fringe stuff anymore. Major hospitals, mental health clinics, and even corporations are incorporating mindfulness training into their programs because the research is just that strong. And let's not forget its role in burnout prevention. In pharmacy and in many healthcare professions, burnout is a real and growing problem. Long hours, constant decision-making, compassion fatigue, and emotional overload can wear even the most resilient minds down. Mindfulness helps healthcare workers and students like me notice the signs early. That creeping fatigue, the irritability, the mental fog, and actually do something about it before it spirals. It doesn't have to be some mystical, candlelit ritual either. Mindfulness can be practical, simple, and built into your daily life. You can practice it while brushing your teeth, washing dishes, walking between classes. The point isn't to sit cross-legged in silence for hours. It's to notice what's happening now, gently, without judgment. And if you're someone who says, "I can't meditate, my brain never shuts up," congratulations, you're human. The goal isn't to stop your thoughts, it's to see them clearly. To realize that thoughts are just thoughts, not facts, not commands, not threats. Just mental weather passing through. That realization alone can be life-changing. So how can you start? You don't need a guru or a $300 meditation cushion. Start small. Set a timer for 5 minutes. Sit down. Breathe. Focus on your breath going in and out. When your mind wanders, and it will, gently bring it back. That's it. That's the rep. Like going to the mental gym. The more you do it, the more natural it becomes. You can also use guided meditations through apps like Headspace, Calm, or Insight Timer. Or just take mindful pauses throughout the day. A few deep breaths before opening a stressful email, or noticing how your coffee smells and tastes before gulping it down. These moments add up. For me, mindfulness has been less of a hobby and more of a survival strategy. Pharmacy school is no joke. And if I didn't actively pay attention to how I was doing mentally, I know I'd burn out fast. We're trained to help others, to be sharp and focused, to answer every question, but we're also learning how to care for ourselves. And that means taking breaks, saying no when needed, going outside, laughing, breathing, letting the moment be enough. If you're watching this and struggling with your own mental health, or watching someone you love struggle, know this: mindfulness isn't a cure-all, but it's a powerful tool. It can help you become more aware of when something's off. You might notice your friend withdrawing, avoiding conversations, or seeming off. You might realize that you haven't laughed or rested in days. That awareness is the first step. That's where change begins. And if you need more than mindfulness, that's okay too. Therapy, medication, support systems, they're all part of the same toolbox. Mental health is complex, and there's no shame in needing help from more than one direction. So the next time someone rolls their eyes at the idea of mindfulness, just smile. You know better. You know the research. You know that sitting with your thoughts, even the loud, uncomfortable ones, is one of the bravest, most science-backed things you can do for your brain. Thanks for watching. If this helped you see mindfulness in a new light, Hit that like button and subscribe for more pharmacist-informed, myth-busting health content every Friday at 5 p.m. MST. Got your own story about mindfulness, mental health, or burnout? Drop it in the comments. I read everyone, and you never know who your words might help. Until next time, breathe deep, be kind to your mind, and remember, awareness is powerful medicine.